Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My name is Sean Edwards, and I'm going to talk to you today about my communication style. Going through this, finding your communication style, I realized that I didn't know much about what my style actually was. I realized that at a very young age, I had to be adaptable. When I was 5 years old, my parents got divorced. So instantly at that point, I had two sets of everything. I had two Christmases, two birthdays, which for a little kid, that's okay. But at that time, my biggest concern at that point was we had a dog. And my whole thing was, how are we going to cut the dog in half? Because my mom's house and my dad's house. It was a communication style and an adaptability that I was forced to have at a very young age. Communication was very difficult. There was always two sides of the story. And unfortunately, some 30 years later, my mom and dad, they still don't talk. And imagine what that puts on me, that communication style, right? I'm still having to deal with that. Through maturing, through adulthood, my professional career, now 20 years, I've really taken that adaptability and moved it into my workplace, adapting my communication style. My leadership styles as a firefighter, we kind of break them down really into 3 points. There's authoritative, democratic, and laissez-faire. A lot of times I have to be very authoritative, but sometimes at the firehouse around the table, I like to be democratic. Hey, what do you guys think? What would you like to do today? Let's come up with it and move forward. Laissez-faire, I really try and stay away from as far as the leadership style. But the purpose of this project was actually identifying my communication style. So I had no idea what those styles were, but that's initiating, direct, supportive, and analytical. So come to find out, my communication style is initiating. And that's a communicator who value interacting with others and sharing stories. And my style is very sociable, enthusiastic, persuasive. But due to my energetic and expressive nature, others may feel that sometimes I talk more than I listen. That's where Toastmasters comes in, because it has made me such a very good listener. But I still need to adapt to my surroundings. It is interesting too, looking at that communication style of initiating. It's almost exactly my horoscope, Gemini, right? Playful and intellectually curious. It's exactly what that communication style is, but still adjusting to my surroundings. Adjusting to my surroundings with that communication style. So on an incident in a firefight, I must be direct, sometimes very authoritative, while allowing for input in a democratic way when necessary. Sometimes maybe I need to be supportive. I'm potentially putting someone's life on the line. They might need a little reassurance. That's okay. I'll be with you. I will lead you into that fight. For many years, I was a lead singer of a band. I know, you're surprised. Don't be surprised. But that communication style, right? Depending on the gig and the night and the audience, they were not into it sometimes. So we really had to adapt our style to that. Going forward in life, found myself in all different situations. I was on an ambulance when I was 19 years old driving. What was my communication style then? Well, I was 19 driving an ambulance. You can imagine how immature I could potentially be. But this high priority on close relationships, it is interesting, but it does also create a conflict. Sometimes I might just find myself mediating a particular situation. Now, the bargaining table, as you referenced me being a union representative, I have to adapt completely to what's on the other side of the table. Sometimes I enjoy an analytical manager that's coming. They want facts. They want the data. I can appreciate that because I can hopefully have that data. Sometimes I can be persuasive, but if they are being absolutely analytical, then I need to adjust to that style. You know, just yesterday, I found myself having a pretty decent argument with one of our managers because our vacation bidding is starting soon. And they started it without the proper process going forward. We're still waiting to meet with the state or meet and confer to the changes of our working conditions. Yet they decided to just go right ahead. So I called him in a very authoritative, very direct way. You will not do this. He was very taken off by that. He was upset. Today, this morning, I called him back and I apologized for my behavior. I told him that I respect him very much and the way I came off was not right. Well, in that regard, I was supportive. I was supporting my communication to him. I was adapting to that situation. I took a step back, took a deep breath. As Arnie says, there is a reaction, there's an action and a reaction, and sometimes you just need to separate it. And that's what I did. It took me overnight to do it, maybe a couple mimosas. We're gonna leave that there. But then the union meetings. Last night, I was having this union meeting. I was chairing the meeting. It was about 30 people. It was hybrid. Thank you very much, Toastmasters. But in that regard, we were having a ratification meeting to vote on a contract that we just tentatively agreed upon with the state of California. So in that meeting, I started very direct. I am not here to take comments. I am only here to take questions, and I will hopefully answer them as they come in. I am not on the bargaining team. I am simply just presenting you the tentative agreement. We're going to take questions and I will answer them. So I started off very direct because that is the room of the firefighters, that's what they needed. And as we went on, I began to be a little bit more supportive, guiding them through the PowerPoint, making them understand. Sometimes my language is designed to motivate, persuade, or inform, all this different rhetoric that I really have to work through. It can be very difficult. That supportive communicators appreciate a calm, steady approach. That's typically what I think I'd like to do. But sometimes, and according to this project, I'm an initiating communicator. I like to allow time for socializing at the beginning of a meeting and create a friendly, non-threatening environment. That's what I'd like to do. Sometimes, unfortunately, in my line of work, I just can't do that, and I have to be very direct. So I learned a lot about myself, about my communication styles, about changing it up, about just meeting with you and what kind of communication styles would you all like from me in a particular situation. Being sergeant at arms at this meeting, sometimes I'm in the front, guests come through. Well, I hopefully, as my role, I have to be that first face. So they come in a supportive manner. I welcome them, communicate with them, introduce them, sit them down. The point is you have to really adapt to your situation. And good or bad, when my parents divorced when I was 5, it forced me to be adaptive my entire life. And the career path that I chose kept that going. So for that, I do thank them. And I thank you for allowing me to listen to that. Thank you very much.